where they initially set up, Ingo Mater and Fabian Fior. There is Ishan Pires in the grey and bright green entry, the pink and black entry, the Black Arts Racing Machine of Brendan Leach doing everything he can. Pires is impressive, hanging on, but this has got trouble brewing. No, well, Leach held tough. Pires fought hard, gave him a little bit of space, and that just put Brendan Leach in the right position as he went into turn 9 to take the inside. He takes away position number 5, but that battle has cost him wholesale ground. You can see how much now he has dropped off the back of Kanemaru in the super licence entry. Back in position 5. Finished 3rd yesterday, Brendan Leach. He's looking to try and make some sort of impression on Daniel Cow for 3rd position in this championship. Meanwhile, Jack Doohan's doing what he can to try and make an impression on Daniel Cow too and move forward. Doesn't look like he's able to do that. This is sneaking out again. Here's this replay. That is at turn number 2 as they come into the switchback, turn 3. Pires had it there, but just pushed a little bit too hard, and then ultimately the move took place at turn 8 up the inside for Brendan Leach. He's managed to hold on that long run down to turn 14. Jackson Walls now the next one in line behind Pires. Behind Jackson Walls, Jordan Dempsey and Ayrton Simmons. Those 3 locked together for much of yesterday's race before a late DNF for Ayrton Simmons. And a setback for the man who's currently, as a 3-time winner, 3rd in the BRDC British F3 Championship. He goes into the final round of that championship next weekend at Silverstone. We wish him luck there, as now Jackson Walls is mounting an assault on the Sri Lankan driver and looking to try and move further forward. So, last lap times. There's a quick run through those to see where the pace is at the moment. 2:04.76 after a best of 2:04.1 on his first full flying lap for Sasahara. He is now nearly 2 seconds down the road on Daniel Cow. Daniel Cow's best 2:04.7, so 6/10 slower. By contrast, Doohan, he's about where he was yesterday. He did a 2:05.1, I think it was, early in the race. He's done a 2:05.2 as his best, 2:05.4 last time round. So he's dropping a good 7/10 to his teammate. His best lap, more than a second slower than Sasahara. As Jackson Walls moves forward, I'm looking at the timing monitors and the actions taking place on track. Oh, wide again. Pires need to be very careful there. Turn 10 has caught some mega cars in past years and speared them to the inside wall, or the outside wall as it turns out. And you don't want to be doing that by any stretch of the imagination. The 2 Pinnacle Motorsport entries, Jordan Dempsey and Ayrton Simmons, just behind this great battle. Pires has got good drive off the corner. Those Absolute Racing cars have excellent drive off the corner. A lot of experience at Shanghai circuit, of course. Absolute responsible for cars in Carrera Cup Asia, Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. They have immense experience, even in the development formulas over many years. Of course, this is where their heart lies, in the emerging open wheel categories. But they've made a great business out of GTs. They've got a lot of data on how to get around this Shanghai circuit. Of course, with a base here now in China. Ingo Mater will be down there with Fabs, keeping tabs on the team. No surprise that they can maximise the performance of the car on this track. And Daniel Cow proved that yesterday. There he is. Well, no, he's not. That's Brendan Leach. Daniel Cow is driving, we'd say, the lead at the moment of the 2 Absolute entries, Gunmetal Grey and Pink Flex. That's why I got that mixed up with Brendan Leach, which is black and pink. Daniel Cow is holding down position number 2. He's just under 2 seconds back. He stabilised that gap to race leader Sasahara, but Doohan is further back. Here's this passing move. Thank you for that. Down at turn 6, a late dive by Jackson Walls in the 3rd of the High-Tech Grand Prix entries. When we talk about knowing how to set up a car, well, you'd have to argue that the best at the moment, certainly in this formula in this part of the world, is High-Tech GP. They are reigning champions. They're going to take out the championship this year. There's no question they'll take out the team's championship. And the Winter Series for the off-season for these drivers and these cars, they also took that championship as well. Managed the W Series this time round. First season of W Series. All of those cars maintained by High-Tech GP, so well versed with the modern formula of F3. Tata chassis and the Auto Technica engine. This is the battle further back, and that would have been just shooting through bottom of screen. Jordan Dempsey ahead of Ayrton Simmons, Tommy Smith a little bit further back. Top of screen just coming through the parabolica, and turn number 13. The lead of those red cars as it stands at the moment is Jordan Dempsey. And Shampiris not giving up on Jackson Walls, and very slowly Brendan Leach is closing down that gap to Yu Kanemaru. Pyrrhus still hanging in there, the young Australian immediately ahead of him. He's done some good work in his second season, Shampiris. He's stepped things up a little at various stages. He's been in a battle for the top 3. He's certainly battling inside the top 5, back to 7 at the moment. Ran strongly early yesterday. Spin set him back down the order. So there is your order. Sasahara, Daniel Cow, Jack Doohan, Yu Kanemaru, Brendan Leach slowly closing that gap. Jackson Walls after that passing move down at turn 6 on Shampiris, 6 and 7. Jordan Dempsey, Ayrton Simmons, Tommy Smith, Kuai Yu back in P11. That's a bit further back than we would have expected perhaps for the second of the Chinese drivers. Thomas Liudi still has advantage over Paul Wong in that battle for top honours in the Masters. Well, Sasahara's pushing on. Might it be that he's got a good set of the GT Control GTR1 tyre, harder compound for the final race this afternoon, so he doesn't need to worry too much about this set. He's pushing hard, but Daniel Cow, you have to have a shout out to. He too is hanging in there, and Doohan really hasn't dropped off. Yesterday he dropped off a lot more than this. We just look at the, well, yeah, okay. The gap is 6 seconds now. Oh, sorry, I apologise. That's the gap between Jackson Walls and Kanemaru. Sasahara back to Doohan. It's 4.5 seconds. So we still have about 2/3 of this race to go. Daniel Cow seemingly unable to breach that gap and get close enough to Sasahara to do much about it. And for the man recently crowned champion of Porsche Carrera Cup Japan, this is another good solid run. This is the kind of stuff that builds championships. Taking advantage of your rival whilst they're struggling a little bit further back. Of course, teammate, stablemate in the Hi-Tech Grand Prix team. Jack Doohan hasn't shown too many flaws this year with respect to coming to grips with a new circuit. This is a big, wide open Formula One, Herman Tilke designed circuit, but so too was Sepang in Malaysia. It was a testing event too at Suzuka circuit, and Jack Doohan showed his mettle there by taking 2 victories at Suzuka, and he was on his way for a 3rd victory. In fact, the second of those races, race 8, he was leading comfortably, but during a safety car period to recover the car of Brendan Leach, which was buried in the barriers down at Degner 2, Doohan tripped the car's throttle fail-safe algorithm. I had to write that down because it was a completely new one on me. The car effectively went into limp mode, stopped coming out of Spoon Curve whilst behind the safety car. They were about to let the field go again, having collected Leach's car from the gravel, and Doohan had to let the whole field through, reset all the systems, got the thing going, got back up to speed, but unfortunately for the young Australian, by that stage the damage had been done. They brought the safety car out again, there was an issue under safety car, and effectively there was no time for Doohan to move forward. That handed Sasahara another victory, and that was what the Japanese driver needed to breach the gap. That gave him a good advantage and allowed him to extend his lead over Doohan, but ultimately Doohan picked that back up by winning the 3rd of the races at Suzuka, his 2nd win at Suzuka. And Sasahara, by virtue, had dramas off the start with Petr Tarcek, and that saw a drive-through penalty and dropped the Japanese driver right back down the order. That then evened things up. We came into this round, 8 points the difference coming into yesterday's first race, or the 10th race of the season. Young Tommy Smith really throwing things around further back as he came through turn 10. Brake lock up there for Ayrton Simmons. So he's still pushing hard. All these drivers pushing very, very hard. The lap time's still fairly close. All in the mid 204s to 205s to 207s, a little bit further back for Dempsey, Simmons and Tommy Smith in the low 208s. So the field is spreading out a little bit. We did see this yesterday. But yeah, it was 8 points coming in between Doohan and Sasahara yesterday. That lead now out to 21. And that'll advantage again at the close of this race if things end the way they are right now. will be another extension of the championship advantage for the Japanese driver, and that will be another 10 points up on Doohan. So that extends the advantage to 31 points. This is all provisionally, of course, as we look at Daniel Cow still pushing very hard. That is the other of the absolute racing entries. The number 5 car, gunmetal grey and pink flex. In front of him, he's still hanging in there. And Doohan, impressive, is still hanging in there too. So hopefully they've got on top of what the issue is. He may be able to mount a recovery. So Doohan is now about 4.8 seconds back from the race leader. The advantage to Sasahara over the man on screen, Daniel Cow, is 2.2 seconds. I'm doing mental arithmetic in my head because I don't actually have the splits on screen, so bear with me. Now, Jack Doohan's best lap time, 2:05.2 still, 2:04.1, that first flying lap for both of the high-tech Grand Prix drivers. 2:04.7 still the best for Daniel Cow. Now, last time round, 2:05.5 for Sasahara, 2:05.6 for Daniel Cow, 2:05.7 for Jack Doohan. By contrast, Yu Kanemaru, 2:06.8 last time round, 2:06.5 for Brendan Leach, and Jackson Walls 2:07.0. Walls about 3/10 off his best, so he's just been consistent lap after lap after lap. And in an emerging development formula like this, it's exactly what team bosses want to see. They want to see consistency. They want to see pace. They want to see racecraft. They also want to see good consistency. 3/10 between his best and his most recent laps for Jackson Walls. That marks him as being a very consistent young man. So he's got a little bit more to learn, doing F4 in Australia, stepping up to F3 here in the F3 Asian Championship, certified by FIA. He's getting very, very good experience. Oh, how wide is Jack Doohan? He's absolutely pushing. Out on the AstroTurf, opposite lock, on the gas. He is still pushing on. He hasn't given up, and that's another mark that team bosses want to see, is young drivers pushing forward and making the most of their opportunities. You could argue that Ukyo Sasahara is doing exactly that at the moment. He's on target for 7 wins from 11 starts, as Daniel Cow still just sits between the two high-tech GP drivers, and he'll be happy with this. Both Doohan and Sasahara are the 2 drivers that have dominated this championship. So far in 10 races, 6 wins to the Japanese driver, 4 wins to the Australian. No one else has been on the top step of the podium. In fact, out of yesterday's race, what we're talking, out of 27 podiums, only 4 drivers outside of Doohan and Sasahara have been on the podium. So it has been a real domination again for the high-tech GP team, and why not? In fact, they're also keeping close tabs on what's going on in Europe at the moment. Saw some dramatic action from the F3 race at Monza yesterday. Another Australian cleaned up after running off at the Parabolica. Fortunately, due to the safety of these cars, got out and walked away. But in the European F3 Championship, High-Tech GP have one of their drivers. Yuri Vips is 3rd in the championship after a couple of wins. And they're at Monza this weekend for what would be round number 7 for them. 1 round to go after that. So keeping close eye on that, the High-Tech Grand Prix team. So probably up late last night watching the action from the other side of the world at Monza. Meanwhile, they're pretty happy with the action going on track at the moment. They are in positions 1, positions 3 for Doohan, and position 6 for Jackson Walls. Kanemaru now has his, we didn't look at the split. We don't need to really look too much at that. We can see it on screen. Brendan Leach has been pumping out super laps. Last time round was a 2:06.1. He is locked right onto the tail now of Yu Kanemaru. Very impressive job by the Japanese driver after a bit of a lacklustre race yesterday. That said, he did set the 5th fastest time whilst he was running around at the rear of the field. They unfortunately had to retire the car at the end. Wasn't classified, but Brendan Leach has done one stunning lap after another to close down the Japanese driver and lock under his rear wing with 1/3 of the race to go, just over 10 minutes. That was Daniel Cow we're looking at on screen. Here is this battle for position number 5, or number 4 as it stands. 4th Kanemaru, 5th to Brendan Leach. Shampiris has dropped off this pack now, back in position 7. Jackson Walls is moving a little bit further forward, but he's about 7 seconds back from this. Advantage 2.6 seconds now to Sasahara. 2:06 dead last time round. 2:06.2 to Daniel Cow. 2:06.7 to Jack Doohan, who is now 5.7 seconds back from his teammate. still hanging comfortably onto position 3 as this battle for position 4. It is a good 8 seconds down now on Doohan. Last time round, 2:07.1 to Kanemaru, 2:07.1 to Brendan Leach. In fact, they both, from what the timing monitor tells me, turned exactly the same lap times, 2:07.156 for both drivers. Super Licence and Black Arts Racing entry. This is where the race is at the moment. Battle for position 4. Jackson Wall's further back. He's got ahead of Isham Peiris. Although Peiris was quickest last time round by about 1/10.5. And has set the faster lap of those two drivers. But again, the consistency of Jackson Wall sees him punching around at roughly the same pace he's been running most of this race. Top of screen, that was Jackson Walls, followed by Isham Peiris. Behind that will be Jordan Dempsey, still leading that trio of Pinnacle Motorsport entries, with Ayrton Simmons behind and Tommy Smith behind that. Brendan Leach is trying to lock in. Oh, he's got a little bit of understeer and then into oversteer as he's tried to pull the car up. That's dropped him back a little bit. It also gives him a little bit of tyre wear too. You don't need to be moving the car around too much. Very tidy line through turn 16 as he fires through for another lap. 10 laps now in the books. 15 laps was the journey yesterday. 30 minutes is the race duration. Lap times roughly 2:04s, 2:05s. Divide 30 by about 2:04, 2:05, and you get about 15 laps. So that's about what we expect to see. 2/3 of the way through this race. Kanemaru for Super Licence doing a sterling job. Had a couple of chats during the year to Rio Fukuda, the former BAR Honda F1 test driver and a superstar in open wheelers in his home country. He's down there helping these young drivers, and he said it's been a bit of a challenge, just getting them to stick with the program and focus on what needs to be done. They've not had a lot of experience in these cars. Of course, Kanemaru's done some miles in Europe over the years and stepped back into the car. But he said it's a learning experience. They're developing a team to run in the Asian Championship and to take the fight to the likes of High Tech Grand Prix and Absolute Racing. So he'll be pretty happy with this performance. The Black Arts Racing team too. They've been stables of development or young driver development in Asia through the development formula. It's interesting to see being rewarded too in F4 that's also racing on the card this weekend, to see their drivers 1-2 in the race immediately prior to this. So Black Arts are certainly enjoying the experience of having a driver the calibre of Brendan Leach in the car. Toyota Racing Series he's been very competitive in his home country, New Zealand, in the off-season. So he has good experience, again, racing towards the front of Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia and competing in that category this weekend. So he's getting good miles on the 5.45 kilometre, 16 turns Shanghai International Circuit. He's putting that to good use, but Kanemaru is holding him out at the moment. You see just how hard Brendan Leach is pushing. Threw it into a little bit of oversteer as he came into the corner, nicely balanced off the curb, but can't seem to do too much about the Japanese driver in front of him at the moment. Last time round, Kanemaru 2:06.76. Brendan Leach 2:06.78. Again, very little separating them. 2:06.27 for the race leader. 2:06.3 for Daniel Cow. Interestingly, 2:05.94 for Jack Doohan. So he pulled in, well, it's 0.3 of a second on the race leader, and he's pulled in some time on Daniel Cow. So now Doohan is about 2.8 seconds back from Daniel Cow. Daniel Cow's a similar distance back from Sasahara at the front of the field. Now that, by the look of the helmet to me, is Kwa Yu, and that's Tommy Smith immediately ahead of him. That's the battle for 10th position in this race. Tommy has started a round of the championship on the front row alongside Jack Doohan. That may well have been back in Sepang in Malaysia, but got swamped off the start, the young Australian. Only 17 years of age. He's learning too. Very much a development year for him with the Pinnacle Motorsport team. Getting valuable miles. The Zen Motorsport silver entry with the orange and black flex. That is the local driver. BYU, 18-year-old Chinese driver. Like Tommy Smith, getting valuable miles and learning. This is how you get yourself up to speed and move forward in these categories, by turning laps and driving with alongside teams and drivers that will push you a little bit harder. So to see Tommy Smith put that Pinnacle Motorsport entry on the front row of a grid, saw plenty of smiles down for the Pinnacle Motorsport team. They've had a bit of a mixed year so far this year. Ayrton Simmons, of course, comes in with great credentials, being third in the British F3 Championship. He's struggling a little bit further back than he would like. He was the car that just disappeared out of bottom of screen just then, in 9th position. And his teammate Jordan Dempsey, who'd done so well in F4 in Asia in the last couple of seasons, immediately ahead of him in position number 8. Isham Pires still holding down position 7. Jackson Walls still in position 6. Still pumping out some pretty impressive laps. 25.3. He's about 24 seconds back from the race leader. 4 minutes to go. That is lap number 12 in the book. So you'd suggest 3 more laps in this race with the pace that they're turning. It is a great battle. We haven't seen much of them yet, but this is the battle for the Masters. Thomas Liudi can't do anything about Paul Wong here, and perhaps these extra miles for Paul Wong in Lamborghini. Oh, gee whiz. That was very nearly a tap into the tail. It looks like Liudi's got it a little bit wrong as he's gone down into turn 11, and that's allowed Paul Wong to close up. This is now through turn 2 into turn 3. That makes this battle very interesting. So they might be further back in this field, but the 2 Masters drivers that are battling for this championship title, Paul Wong has the advantage at the moment in the 852 Challengers car, the blue car at the rear. But Thomas Liudi loves his motorsport. Very passionate competitors. Neither of them are spring chickens anymore. They're not teenagers. They're racing like it, and they're really pushing very, very hard. Not giving each other an inch, but also not getting too heavily involved in contact. They don't like that any more than any driver does. They know they're not in the outright battle, but they are in the battle for the honours of top Masters entry. And Paul Wong, well, at the moment, sitting comfortably behind Thomas Liudi. He doesn't need to do anything dramatic. He is keeping himself out of trouble. You talk about sharing the wins. There's been 3 wins. You take yesterday's result into account, and the advantage there was Paul Wong, so 4 wins to Paul Wong this year, 3 wins to Thomas Liudi. Now Thomas could make this 4 wins. The advantage, though, quite significant in favour of Paul Wong, because the drama for Thomas Liudi, certainly by 4 races into this season, he'd been a failure to finish on 3 of those occasions, and that does knock your championship around. At Buriram, he was unable to start one of the races, then went on to win the last of them, race 6 in this championship this season. So Thomas Liudi has had some good results, but unfortunately been plagued by bad luck. By contrast, Paul Wong has been on the podium every single time. If he hasn't won, he's placed second once, twice, 3, 4 times. He's won 4 times, and he's placed third once. So it's a good, solid report card for Paul Wong in this championship this year. There have been others. Dragon's been in. He took a couple of wins the opening round at Sepang. Yamaguchi too. He took a win in the 3rd race at Sepang. And Takashi Hata in the super license entry. Well, unfortunately for him, he got cleaned up off the start at Suzuka and played no further part in the Suzuka event, the 3rd race weekend for the 2019 F3 Asian Championship, certified by FIA. But yes, some pretty spirited racing. Now, whilst this is oh no! Paul Wong probably got a little hard onto the brakes because he'd gained so much time coming through too. Can he restart the car? Yeah, got hard onto the brakes. The car was turned. Not a lot of lock on these cars either. You could see him fighting the wheel to try and save it, but once he'd got off the gas and momentum took over, he was a passenger from that point. It's a good sign to see that he's got restarted. We need to get back to the front of this field. We have, well, 1 minute left in the books. That is the man bringing up the rear of the field now, but at the front of the field, there he is. Ukio Sasahara should see the last lap board this time round. There it is. It's hanging out. This could be victory number 7. He's well on his way. I'm going to touch wood. No commentator's curse from my side. The Japanese driver doing a good job. You can see that gap stabilised. That is Sasahara. Behind him, Daniel Cow, the local driver for Absolute Racing. Behind him, Sasahara's title rival and teammate, Jack Doohan from Australia. Doohan last time round 2:06.2. Well, Sasahara's picked up the pace. He might be trying to prove something here. 2:05.5. 29.17. He's got the lead. Well, it's 2.4 seconds, so clearly as that battle further back between Tommy Smith and Kuai Yu battles on. That is for position number 10. Tommy Smith holding it, but at the front of the field, the battle certainly has been between Sasahara, Daniel Cow and Jack Doohan. We lost Brendan Leach. He still can't get through on Kanemaru. We haven't seen much more of that, but well, the gap is still only half a second, so Leach is doing everything he can. Kanemaru, to hold the young New Zealander out, has done an impressive job. But there is your likely race winner. Coming through turn 10. The short run down to 11, 12 and into the parabolica, and that long 800-metre run down to turn 14 and a couple of corners from home. Here's Ukio. This would be for win number 7 of 11. Daniel Cow, another brilliant job. In fact, he's been second step on the podium now twice. This would make it 3 times. And for Jack Doohan, well, he's on the podium, not the step he wanted. 10 more points lost to his title rival. That would put the advantage to 31 points for Ukio Sasahara going into this afternoon's third and final race for this race weekend. We are back here in 3 weeks alongside Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia for the final 3 races. Races 13, 14 and 15 of the season. But as we come into the last corner, the Japanese fans will be celebrating because it's another win to the hero, the man who just recently wrapped up the Porsche Carrera Cup Japan title. He's well on his way to wrapping up the 2019 F3 Asian Championship, certified by FIA, with his 7th race win of the year. 2nd across the line to Daniel Cow, 3rd across the line to Jack Doohan. Look at top of screen, that's the interesting one. Yu Kanemaru, he still has that advantage. Brendan Leach unable to do anything about it. And for Super Licence, what a great return to form. Yu Kanemaru takes 4th. Behind him, Brendan Leach, and another good haul of points. Jackson Walls has been sitting comfortably pretty much on his own after that battle with Ishan Peiris. He took the position away about lap 10 or thereabouts down at turn 6. The young Australian makes it 3 high-tech Grand Prix drivers inside the top 6. Ishan Peiris next across the line. Behind them, Jordan Dempsey leads a trio of Pinnacle Motorsport entries, unless, of course, Kuai Yu has managed to move past on Tommy Smith. Jordan Dempsey, Ayrton Simmons, Tommy Smith round out your 10. Kuai Yu will take position number 11. Hasn't quite crossed the line just yet. Yes, he has. Thomas Ludi will take position number 12 and top honours in the Masters category. We saw that battle he was having with Paul Wong just a couple of laps ago, and a spin for Paul Wong as he jumped hard on the brakes coming out of turn 3 to avoid the tail of his rival. And Paul Wong has gathered things up and he will cross the line in position number 13. So fortunately in this race, no retirements. That is good news. For Jack Doohan though, well, some good news. He was able to push on. He was quicker today than he was yesterday. His best lap, if we just look at best laps, well, no one can quite touch Sasahara. 2:04.1, his quickest lap. Daniel Cow, second fastest, 2:04.7. 2:05.2 are best for Jack Doohan, although he did punch out a 2:05.5 towards the closing stages of the race. Kanemaru, 2:05.8 and 2:05.7 for Brendan Leach. They were your quickest. We will hear from the winners, no doubt, and I'm sure a very happy Japanese driver taking back-to-back wins. Now, just checking, no, it was races 1 and 2 of this season that we saw the first back-to-back to Sasahara, and then we saw a pattern emerge with Doohan taking the 3rd of the wins at Sepang in Malaysia. Then they shared them. Race 4 win to Ukio, race 5 to Jack, race 6 to Ukio, race 7 to Jack, race 8 to Ukio, race 9 to Jack, race 10 to Ukio, and again, race 11 to Ukio Sasahara. There is Jack Doohan coming down pit lane. No, it's not. It's Sasahara. Very similar schemes, of course, both teammates for High-Tech Grand Prix. Slightly different scheme to Doohan's car. Some good, solid support for the young Australian, driving for the Red Bull Junior Driver Program. Here is the points leader, 7-time winner this year, and recently crowned PCCJ champion, Ukio Sasahara for High-Tech Grand Prix. What a season it has been, but we have another race, 2:50 p.m. local time. That's exactly 4 hours from now, race number 12. Qualifying we'll see was set yesterday, second qualifying session. Ukio Sasahara took top honours. Jack Doohan will start alongside him. Daniel Cow from position 3. Jordan Dempsey, brilliant job for him, position 4. Brendan Leach, Ayrton Simmons, Isham Peiris and Yu Kanemaru will be your top 4 rows. In 4 hours' time, make sure you join us for that. But stay with us, we'll hear from the drivers, we'll see the podium, we'll go through to the press conference. Keep up to date with all the action, www.f3asia.com, and stay in tune with the Chinese and English social media platforms. I'm pretty sure Feline's down there somewhere. Yes, she is, standing in front of Ukyo. We will hear from the Japanese driver fairly shortly. 7-time winner this season, extends his advantage provisionally to 31 points over Jack Doohan. Let's hear from Ukyo.
Yukio, another pole to win. Congratulations. Tell us about today's start.
Yeah, good start today. And car was really easy to drive this race. And yeah, just to try to manage the gap all the race. And I think I managed the tire well as well. So yeah, happy for that. And thanks again, team did a fantastic job. Let's hope for the race 3 as well.
Thank you。那刚刚我问到 Yukio 他对自己今天的表现怎么看呢？他提到呢，他今天呢也是在发车的时候就保持了一个非常好的状态，也非常感谢他的车队 High Tech 车队来给他们提供了一辆非常优秀的一辆车辆，让他能在今天有非常的好的表现。那他也希望能在明天的比赛接下来的比赛当中呢，能拿到一个更好的成绩。Back to you guys.
You do have to surmise whether or not Jack Doohan does have a bigger issue, because certainly with the sharing of race wins, 11 now between the two high-tech GP drivers, that Doohan wasn't closer to his title rival, especially when you hear Ukyo say things like car was very easy to drive. So anyway, I guess we'll see. Things can't always be perfect, and Doohan is again just 16 years of age. He's on a very steep learning curve, and we're about to hear from the young Australian.
Hi Jack, welcome back to the podium again. And tell us about today's your performance. And you are also in the overall championship. You also have a big gap between like Yukio now. So do you have pressures for that?
Yeah, well, it's not too good. Definitely having Yukio winning and me not being able to try and fight for it. So I need to find definitely some more pace. But yeah, we'll just take it race by race. Not try and focus on the championship too much. Definitely try and get in front of Yukio for the next 4 races, and hopefully can get back on top of the championship.
Thank you. 那刚刚我问到他呢，我也恭喜他呢能重新回到颁奖台的位置。他提到呢，他也对感到在 Yukio 一直在获胜呢，他感到也是有很大的压力。不过呢，他不会特别的关注于整个的杯赛的一个总冠军的成绩，他会一场一场稳扎稳打的比赛，希望能在接下来的4场比赛当中有机会可以超越 Yukio. Back to you guys.
Clearly disappointed, and why not? He has taken the fight, as he said, to his teammate all year. They've been rarely more than a couple of seconds apart, so it'll be a little bit of frustration, I'm sure, for Jack Doohan. The team will not give up. They will keep working. They have 4 hours until we are back underway with the next race, race 12 of the season. But certainly he has got a little bit of work to do. Again, there's 100 points still left in this championship, 25 for the win for race 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's your 100 points still up in this championship. So a long way yet to go. We will go to your podium before too much longer. Talking about black arts, I can see the back of the head of Bill O'Brien. Let's go to a replay, the highlights of the race. It was another beautiful day. Temperatures in the mid-30s, lights out, right of screen Sasahara, left of screen Daniel Cao, but the Japanese driver just closed the door immediately, as he did yesterday, Doohan into position 3. The big loser off the start was Brendan Leach in the Black Arts entry, dropped back to about 6th and was under pressure from Jackson Walls for position 7. Yu Kanemaru did a good job to jump up into position number 4, and he held that all the way to the checkered flag. Brendan Leach ultimately got through, but he had a lot of work to do to get around Ishan Peiris. Peiris defended with all his might, the Sri Lankan driver here. But on the crossover, Brendan Leach got through. This is Jackson Walls making a move too on Peiris, who was unable to hold the young Australian out. There is the objective car, the third of the high-tech entries. You can see the AstroTurf on the exit of the final corner, turn 16. Need to be very careful down there. And then about two-thirds of the way into the race, Brendan Leach locked onto the tail of Yu Kanemaru, but could do absolutely nothing about it. Tommy Smith was in a good battle back for position 10 with Kwai Yu. And then this was the spin with a couple of laps to go, just trying to avoid the rear of his rival in the Masters Championship. And Paul Wong spun, avoiding Thomas Ludy. Checkered flag, though, no question about the winner. That was Ukyo Sasahara for the 7th time in season 2019. Perfect record for High-Tech Grand Prix. 11 starts, 11 victories. Let's go through to the podium, but stay with us after the podium because we will be off to the presentation and the press conference for the drivers. And we will hear some more from them about this race number 11 of the second season of the F3 Asian Championships, certified by FIA.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now having the podium ceremony for 2019 Formula 3 Asia Championship certified by FIA Race 11. 女士们、先生们，现在进行2019国际汽联亚洲三级方程式锦标赛第11回合的颁奖仪式。Now let's welcome our top 3 drivers onto the podium. Winner of the race, car number 1 from High-Tech Grand Prix, Ukyo Sasahara. 获得冠军的车手是来自 High-Tech GP 的1号车手 Ukyo Sasahara. Second place, car number 5 from Absolute Racing, Daniel Cao. 获得亚军的车手是来自绝对车队的5号车手曹卓。Third place, car number 2 from High-Tech Grand Prix, Jack Duhan. 获得季军的车手是来自 High-Tech GP 的2号车手杰克·杜汉。下面有请黄勇先生，上海市汽车摩托车运动协会常务副会长，为冠军车手颁奖。Now let's invite Mr. Huang Yong, Executive Vice President of Shanghai Automobile and Motorcycle Sports Association, to present the trophy to the winner. Now let's invite Mr. Wang Maocai, Assistant to General Manager of GT Tire Investment Company Limited, to present the trophy to second place. Now let's invite Mr. Chang Liang, General Manager of Dixel China, to present the trophy to the third place. Let's have group photo. 我们有请颁奖嘉宾和获奖车手进行合影留念。
So there you have your outright podium for race number 11 of 15 for the 2019 F3 Asian Championship certified by FIA. So running back through it again, Ukyo Sasahari's 7th win of the year. Daniel Cow, position number 2. Jack Doohan, right of screen in the colours of Red Bull, part of the junior program, in position number 3. Yu Kanemaru, great job holding out Brendan Leach for position 4. The young New Zealander back in position 5. Then Jackson Walls, good result too for him, position number 6. Isham Pires, 7th. Jordan Dempsey led a trio of Pinnacle Motorsport entries with Eton Simmons and Tommy Smith rounding out the 10. And it was Kwai Yu in position number 11 in the battle for Masters Honours. We'll see them shortly. Ultimately a win again, and I think that's his 4th of the year, went to Thomas Liudi for Black Arts Racing, and alongside him on the podium will be Paul Wong, who continues to lead the Masters Championship. Let's follow through with their podium. Again, make sure you stay with us. We will go through to the press conference immediately after. And for those fans of these young drivers and the development of the F3 Asian Championship certified by FIA, you'll get a bit more of an update as to what went on during this race, how it transpired, and how the drivers are feeling as they go into this afternoon's final race, 2:50 p.m. local time. Greenwich Mean Time +8 for those of you watching in other parts of the world. We will be underway again for race number 12 of the season.
下面有请 Master Cup 的获奖车手 Winner of Master Cup, car number 9 from Black Arts Racing, Thomas Liudi. Second place, car number 44 from A52 Challengers by Zen Motorsport, Paul Wang. Now it's my honor to invite Mr. David Digobi, General Manager of Top Speed Shanghai Limited, to present the trophy to Master Cup winners. Now let's have group photo for Master Cup. Now Master Cup, champagne time!
Clearly Paul Wong had other ideas, but Thomas is happy to celebrate, and why not? That gives him, we'll double check it whilst we're here. Thomas Liudi, 1, 2, 3, 4 wins. 4 wins yesterday. I haven't updated from yesterday. Yesterday's results. Paul Wong. So 4 wins to Thomas Liudi. 4 wins also to Paul Wong. Not this time. He was pushing hard, didn't quite play out. So again, stay with us. We will go through to the press conference and then make sure you're back here at 2:50 local time, which is, well, it's about, in fact, it's 3 hours and 46 minutes from now for the final race of the weekend.
Audio check.
Thomas. Thomas. Sorry.
Welcome to the press conference of the Shanghai Round 4, race 2 for this weekend. Ukyo, starting with you, congratulations on yet another faultless race, extending your championship lead. Also now the battle is just between you and Jack for the championship, for this season. And how does that affect the team dynamic? Is there any rivalry? Or?
Yeah, I knew that Jack was a very quick guy, and it's really tough to be teammate, and yeah, it's really hard. Always, every session, every round, we find each other. We always open each other. So I mean, every time have to find a good point all the time. So it's really tough. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Daniel, another fantastic race, very good pace, very similar to Ukyo. Does this give you a big confidence boost? And do you think you can beat Ukyo at the next round in qualifying? This track position seems to be quite important here.
I will check my car because just now I feel a little bit oversteer and at sector 1, and I hope for next race get a better score.
All right, thank you very much. To you, Jack. Welcome back on the podium, and congratulations on your third place. It looks like you're a little bit down on pace this weekend. Do you have any problems with the car, or?
Yeah, I'm definitely not 100% comfortable with everything, but sometimes it's like that. We just need to try and get to the bottom of it, whether it's me, the car, a combination of both things, and then just try and up the pace. And we don't want to be this close to the end of the championship. We don't want to be really falling behind on points like this, so we want to try and get back on top as quick as possible.
Okay. Good luck for this afternoon's race.
Thank
you very much. Thomas, to you, congratulations. It was, I think, one of the best races this season for you. It was a very close fight between you and Paul. Tell us about your race.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was good fun. We had a great car, and Paul was in certain parts faster. I was in other parts faster. So he was catching up, but luckily I could hold him behind, and then he made a mistake towards the end and had the last lap was easy, but it was good fun. Let's enjoy racing like that.
All right, thank you very much.
Together?